Welcome back to New Realities, and this is another installment of a very exciting ongoing series with Doc Wallach. Doc is an incredible health coach. He's a doctor. He's created a huge company of longevity, and he is a miracle worker for some people. I'm joined today by Karen Clancy, who's been studying under Doc's tutelage and really working with people in the public to help them get the most vital health possible. Welcome, Doc. Do you have anything you want to start off with here?
Well, yeah, if I may. Basically, we have some huge problems going on now. When you go back to the Old Testament in the Bible, before the Old Testament even, there were recorded plagues every year, right? And they didn't, the fever that would come every year, gosh, for thousands of years, didn't disappear, even though they had an herb, quinine, that would kill the fever, but you got it again next year, okay? And so they tried vaccinations, they tried more drugs, and you just have to get it every year. Well, you haven't heard about that fever anymore since 1939, when a guy by the name of Paul Mueller, he was a medical student who loved chemistry, and he came up with DDT, and he started spraying the mosquitoes in the swamps, and he interrupted the intermediate host. He interrupted the cycle of the malaria parasites, and so there was no mosquitoes biting people with malaria and then taking and going and biting somebody without it and injecting the infected blood into them and passing it on. So it wasn't getting quinine, it wasn't getting a vaccination, but it was getting the DDT to kill the intermediate host to prevent the transmission of the parasite. You haven't heard anything about malaria anymore since 1939. Okay. Well, the same thing is going to be true with COVID. COVID is a lot like malaria, and everybody's trying to find the antiviral drug. We've had billionaires in America, Herman Cain, who is the CEO of Godfather's Pizza. The last day of June of this year, he was diagnosed with COVID. He's laughing and coughing a little bit. They put him in a private hospital, give him oxygen and intravenous drugs for killing viruses. 29 days later, the last day of July, he dies of COVID. And they did the autopsy on him. He didn't have a viral lung infection. He died of blood clots. And why was that? Well, he had 8 pre-existing conditions. Okay, and he couldn't. Well, he had colon problems. Okay, absorption problems. He wasn't supplementing. His only supplement was the hot sauce on the pizza. Okay, wasn't taking the 90 essential nutrients, even though he's a billionaire and he could afford it. He had arthritis. He also had the dysplasia in his bone marrow. He couldn't make white blood cells and platelets and red blood cells and things like antibodies, okay, from stem cells, because his bone marrow was dead. And so that's why he died. He died of hemorrhaging. He died of hemorrhaging. He didn't die of a viral infection, although he's positive for COVID.
Did the viral add to the hemorrhaging though? Or
No. It just, it was just the last pebble on the plate. Okay. I mean, he'd been sick for many years, and this is why people with pre-existing conditions have a bad time. That's why a 3-year-old, when they get the COVID, Alan, their temperature goes up a half a degree. It goes up from 98.6 to 99. You can't even class that as a fever. Okay. And then they have common cold-like symptoms for 3 days, and it's over with. Now, you take a 63-year-old, a 73-year-old, and an 83-year-old who get COVID, they're in deep doo-doo. They're in trouble. Okay. Because they've been eating gluten for 60, 70, 80 years. Their intestines are dead. They don't look like a shag rug anymore on the inside. No surface there. It looks like a plastic tube. Okay, because their intestines have died. They can't absorb anything that might or might not be in the food, and they're certainly not supplementing. And so that's why 99% of them die from hemorrhaging and blood clots, not from viral infection.
Wait, so let me just put this out to the audience. This is your thesis and your study. I mean, it's more than a thesis, of course, because you've done all those autopsies. When you eat gluten, it stops the intestines from absorbing all the villi. They get flattened out, There's no ability to absorb anything. You start to lack the essential nutrients. Your body starts to rob those nutrients from other places in your body in order to maintain the vital organs, right? Like the bones.
Right, right. Now, let me give you a couple of more quick examples here, and then we can go on to the questions of the day. Let's compare two countries that have a population of, say, 207 million people. We're going to look at Nigeria in West Africa, the biggest landmass country in Africa. And then we're going to look at Brazil, the biggest landmass country in South America. In Nigeria, they have 65,000 infections and 1,000 deaths so far in the last year and a half total. Brazil has 5.8 million infections and 165,000 deaths. So what's the difference between those two countries? Even though they have the same population, the Brazilians are almost all Brazilians. They speak Portuguese. That's why we have our programs. We've translated them into Portuguese for them. And then in Nigeria, everybody's Nigerian. Okay, so they only have 65,000 infections, and Brazil has 5.8 million. Nigeria only has 1,000 deaths, and Brazil has 165,000 deaths. So what's the difference? Well, Nigeria lives on rice, sweet potatoes, and corn. Brazil lives and drinks everything from wheat, barley, rye, and oats.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Now let's look at another example. Let's look at, I'll give you three examples here.
But I think I'm missing one little vital important. So the gluten destroys the
intestines, the ability to absorb.
And so what's the interaction between absorption and the virus?
Okay, if you cannot absorb nutrients, your bone marrow is dead. Your bone marrow is your immune system. You cannot make white blood cells to kill the virus. You can't make antibodies to kill the virus. You can't make platelets to prevent you from hemorrhaging to death because your bone marrow is dead from dysplasia. All the bone marrow cells have been replaced with scar tissue and fat. Now, you know, Alan, I know you know people in your family, your friends, your church mates or whatever, who go to the doctor once a month for an iron shot or a B12 shot because they have chronic anemia. Why is that? Well, they have osteoporosis and their bone marrow is dead. And so instead of the doctor saying, look, you got to get rid of all the bad foods, supplement with this, it'll revive your bone marrow. You come to me once a month because I got 3 kids in college. I need the money. You come to me once a month. I'll give you a B12 and an iron shot. That way you're going around the intestines. You don't have to absorb it because he's injecting it into you.
So instead of that, you would recommend what?
Get off of gluten, get off of fried foods, get rid of all the bad stuff. And then you take your 90 essential nutrients, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. They're a big hammer right now. Okay. And then you also want to throw in the, let's see here. I would throw in the Pollen Burst, the Cell Shield RTQ, and the Killer Biotic. Okay. Which is our way to support the immune system so your own body can defeat viruses, bacteria, and fungus. Now, let me give you a couple more examples that'll blow your mind. Okay. Let's look at, let's see here. Thailand, with a population of 66 million, and England with a population of 66 million. Okay. Thailand, a very, very Asian country, right? Has 3,800 infections, almost 4,000 infections, and 60 deaths. England, the UK, has 66 million population. They have 1.3 million infections and 58,000 deaths. Now it's 58,000, no, actually it's 59,000 because it's 58,900. Okay. So 59,000 deaths from COVID, and a country the same size as them, but eats differently, only has 60 deaths. Which is worse, 60 deaths or 59,000 deaths? Which is worse, 1.4 million infections or 3,000 infections?
No, I think you're onto something. So if people stop eating gluten now, right now, as they're listening to this, would they have a better shot at?
If they boxed up all their gluten in their house, including the dog food, and give it to their doctor with love, give it to their doctors, okay? And then guess what? Their intestines will start healing immediately, and in 2 weeks' time, they'll be able to absorb. Now, let me give you a couple of more. Mexico and Japan have the identical population, 126 million. Okay?
Yeah.
Mexico has 1 million infections and 98,000 deaths. 1 million infections and 98,000 deaths, almost 100,000, about 10%. deaths, 1 million infections. Japan, same population as Mexico, has 118,000 infections and 2,000 deaths. Is 2,000 less than 99,000?
Right. Yeah. No, I get it because of what they're
now
eating.
Japan lives on everything that's rice and sweet potatoes and soy and all that kind of stuff. Mexico, everything they eat and drink is wheat, barley, rye, and oats. I'll give you one more. It'll blow your mind. Let's look at, let's see here. Let's look at, I'm going to try to get the right countries here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's look at 2 countries in a state. Let's look at Australia, Taiwan, and Texas. They all have about 26 million population. Texas, Taiwan, and Australia. Australia has 27,000 infections and 900 deaths. Taiwan has 503 infections and 7 deaths. Texas has 1 million infections and 20,000 deaths. So it's 20,000 deaths worse than 7 deaths. Is 1 million infections worse than 600? Is 27,000 infections worse than 600? Is 900 deaths worse than 7? So what's the difference between Australia, Taiwan, and Texas? Well, Texas is 35, depending on the part of Texas, is anywhere from 35 to 70% Latinos from Mexico, and everything they eat is wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Okay, and then you look at, let's see here, you look at Taiwan, everything they eat is rice and sweet potatoes and soy. Is there any gluten in rice? No. Is there any gluten in sweet potatoes? No. Is there any gluten in vegetables? No. Okay, let's look at Australia. Okay, they even have rice beer because the Maoris and all these original Aborigine populations are very sensitive to gluten. So they actually make a rice wine for them. They make a rice beer, and everything they eat is rice and sweet potatoes and soy because they know that gluten and wheat, barley, rye, and oats will kill them. So there's a lot of non-Maori people in Australia who say, I kind of like that rice beer better than wheat rice or wheat beer, okay? Wow. And so they're kind of, Australia's kind of half and half. Texas is almost 100% eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and Taiwan is 100% rice and sweet potatoes. Are you getting the picture? This is not just one place. This is all over the world.
How come more people don't know? How come doctors don't know that? How come you're really the only one who knows? I mean, I believe you.
Okay, here's why. Well, I had to go to the UN and the World Health Organization for 3 months and go through all their data to find this out. Okay, I'll give you one more piece. This will blow your mind, Alan. Let's just look at India. India has the same exact population as China, 1.4 billion people. But let's just look at India. India has 8 million infections and 129,000 deaths. Now, they have 29 states and 7 territories that make up India. So I'm talking to the World Health Organization. I say, now, does the rate of COVID infections and deaths occur equally in all 29 states and 7 territories? I say, oh, no. The 9 northern states have 95% of the deaths. Okay, and 86% of the infections. The southern 20 states and 7 territories only have 5% of the deaths and 14% of the infections. They're the same people. They don't have 18 different religions and races and all that kind of stuff. India is India, right?
It's 1 billion, basically.
Almost 1.5 billion.
Right.
Okay, so why is it that they have 5% of the deaths in southern 2/3 and 95% of the deaths in the northern 1/3 and 86% of the infections in the northern 1/3 and only 16% of the infections in the southern 2/3? Well, that's because the northern 1/3 lives on nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats. They live in the hills and the mountains. Okay, and the southern 2/3 live in the swamps and the forests, and guess what they grow? Rice and sweet potatoes.
Right.
And so that's why. And I freaked out the World Health Organization when I told them all that. I said, see, you're looking in the wrong place. Putting a mask on, and I do when I go out in public, right? So I don't get a ticket. But I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients for 72 years. I've been gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for 72 years, and I'm 82 years old.
let me show people how to find that again. I'll get back to that, but yeah. So, you're saying if people stop eating gluten, like right now,
Yep. And take the 90
and
and take the 90.
take the 90 of the, let me just show the
It'd be the
people the
Healthy
90
Brain and Heart Pack, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack,
to this,
which they did not
90.
give to Herman Cain, the billionaire.
If they take this, call this number, Vital Health News, 888-275-7755. People like Carolyn are standing by to take your calls and questions and orders. So you're saying stop the gluten, order the Healthy Start Pack?
Well, the Healthy Start Pack is before you get sick. If you're already sick, you want to get the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, or if somebody in your family is sick, you get the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. You want the biggest hammer in the toolbox. Do you want to go hunting for an elephant with a 22? No, you want an elephant gun, right? Well, the same thing here. You want the bigger, you want the bigger, you have things that are in the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack that, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
If you have the virus right now, you're saying?
No, right now, everybody should be taking the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
Everyone, okay.
Because if you go into if we're in the war zone, why would you not wear a bulletproof vest and carry a weapon if you're in the war zone? Why would you just say, well, I'm going to wear a mask in the war zone? Is that going to help you from being shot? No. Is that going to help you from being killed by COVID? No.
So the bulletproof vest is the Healthy Brain
and Heart Pack.
And Heart Pack. Okay, you can get that at this number, 888-275-7755. But okay, so they get that, and that builds their intestines for absorbability.
The villi come back. They come right back within weeks.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
You have to stop. But your gluten regime is very intensive. Can you lay that out a little bit? Because it's not just.
Okay, here's the deal. For breakfast this morning, I had 2 scoops of wild rice with butter on it, not margarine, but butter. I had a medium-sized sweet potato with butter and some cinnamon on it. I had 3 soft poached eggs with soft yolks. I used my pink Himalayan salt, which has 84 minerals in it, okay, on my rice and my sweet potatoes and my eggs. When a doctor tells you to give up salt, do not have salt, even if you have high blood pressure, you need to fire the doctor and get out of there, because he will kill you if you get off of salt. Okay, salt is an essential nutrient. You cannot absorb nutrients without salt. Salt is what your stomach makes stomach acid from. Well, I have to take something to dilute my stomach acid because I have acid reflux. No, you don't. You have a lack of acid reflux. When you don't have any stomach acid, bacteria grow in your stomach and generates gas. And so the doctors kill the bacteria, but you still don't have any stomach acid, and you cannot digest proteins. You cannot absorb nutrients. And that's why you have to go in once a month and get a B12 shot and an iron shot. And every 2 months, you got to get a transfusion.
Why do you like Himalayan salt? Is there more minerals in that?
Well, when you get just white salt, even if it has iodine in it, which is a good thing, it's just sodium chloride. They've actually, what should I say, purified it, so it's just sodium chloride. When you take pink Himalayan salt, when the oceans died in the Himalayan mountains, millions of years ago, it wasn't just the salt that settled in the valleys, it was the salt and all the minerals that were in the oceans back then. Of course, all the volcanic eruptions and this and that, so there's lots of minerals in there. That's why, and we actually bought the big companies in the Himalayas, so it's our Himalayan salt.
Wow.
Oh, it's our Himalayan salt. Yeah, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go to Walgreens and get pink Himalayan salt from Walgreens. I want you to get it from me.
Right. Okay. Because you got the quality. Yeah.
Well, not only that, we know what the heck's going on here, and so I think we've covered.
That's your breakfast. What would you have for lunch then?
Okay, for lunch, what I have is yogurt. I'll have some yogurts. I like the blueberry yogurt without sugar and without any gluten in it, gluten-free. And I'll have 2 of those little 4-ounce cartons, okay? And then I will also have 4 of our chocolates, triple treat chocolate or triple truffle chocolate, whatever they have, okay, at that time, at Youngevity, because chocolate is one of the greatest antioxidants. Then of course, I take my supplements. And so I have a very light lunch.
What about the sweeteners they put in chocolate and the dairy in yogurt? What do you say about those things?
I said sugar-free yogurt.
Okay.
You get sugar-free yogurt, okay, and you get gluten-free yogurt.
But it's still dairy. You don't have a thing against dairy then, right?
Well, what did you start drinking first when you were a baby? What was your food?
I think in my case, I think it was formula, but yes, in mother's milk generally, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what's the first food for a baby whale?
I guess whale milk, would it be?
Whale milk. What's the first food for a buffalo baby?
But people say they stop eating milk as the animal matures.
No, they stop eating milk, okay, because their mother won't let them suck on their breast anymore after they're 6 months old. You're getting teeth. It hurts.
Oh.
Get away from me.
Oh. So it's because there's a whole dairy discussion where some people say they're lactose intolerant.
Have you ever heard of the science of crapola? This is the same people. These are the same people who say the carbon dioxide is going up in the air because you're driving a car. The carbon dioxide is going up in the air because people dammed up the rivers. The silt from the mountains and the volcanoes don't get out to the ocean, so the algae cannot do their job in eating the carbon dioxide and turning it into oxygen and carbon chains. So that's why the reefs are dying, because the algae doesn't have the nutrition anymore, because we've shut off the food supply to the ocean. Only human beings are stupid enough to cut off the food supply to the ocean. Okay.
Well, they just didn't know. So, okay.
You still go to jail if you kill somebody from an accident because you didn't know that shooting them with a gun would kill them. Well, I didn't know. Well, you're still going to jail. Okay.
So I know you have a whole solution to getting oxygen back in the air and changing the environment. Immortality. Yeah, that's a great. Is that your book?
Yeah.
Okay.
What Dr. Milan and I did, we looked at the top 10 cultures on Earth that live the longest. Their average is 165, 175. Their oldest people live to be 260, 261. Right. Okay. And so what is it they do that we don't do? What is it they don't do that we do? And all this is in the book here, shows you what to avoid and what to take, the 90 essential nutrients, stay away from gluten. And I mean, the New York Times didn't want to believe that. So in the late 1920s, 1928, they sent their most vicious investigative reporter, a guy by the name of James Hilton, to go to this place between Pakistan and China, okay, Hunza, where the Giltar Glacier is. And he spent a year tracking these people, and he wrote back a big article for the front page of the New York Times. These people live to be 260, okay? Their average is 185, okay? And so he wrote a book called Lost Horizon, which became a Pulitzer Prize winning book. And then they made a movie out of it in 1933, Lost Horizon. Okay. And Shangri-La is actually the name of a valley in Hunza between Pakistan and China. And he didn't make up that name, but Shangri-La is a place for, in mythology, where people live forever because they're living 5 generations.
And what was the secret to the Hunzas?
Well, they irrigate their gardens and their fields with the water from underneath the Giltar Glacier, which has 80 minerals in it.
Right.
Okay, They drink it, they cook in it, they take baths in it. Okay, and so they're getting the minerals. That's the secret. And because oil is very expensive, I mean, cooking oils are very expensive. They didn't have those things up there, but they did have cows, and so everything they cooked was in this water with the 80 minerals in it and butter. No oils. No oils.
Oils. You don't like olive oil. You don't like flax. Nothing.
Okay, now if you want olive oil, do what I did. I have 6 olive trees in my backyard. I will pull the olive off the tree and eat it. Now, when they squeeze that olive and they've got that olive oil in a can or a bottle sitting in the warehouse for a year, and then you eat that, it's oxidized and turned into trans fats, heterocyclamines, and acrylamides. Guess what causes cancer? What causes plaque in your arteries? It's not cholesterol. It's oxidized oils. If you want to kill yourself, if you want to get plaque in your arteries, you want to get cancer, use olive oil in your salads. That's why we came up with no oils, Alan.
Okay, you're lucky if it only sits on the shelf for a year. I'm sure some of those oils sit there for 5 or 10 years.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
What I would do every year is buy a dozen bottles of oil, the finest, most expensive olive oil and give it to your doctor with love.
I know you have a thing against doctors. Well, Carolyn likes that. Okay, we should. Do you want to get to some questions from Carolyn, because she always has.
Yeah, let's go for it. I think people get the idea where we're coming from.
No, I love it. I don't think you can say it enough. That's why I enjoy doing these programs every other week with Doc Wallach. Tune in. And usually joining me is Carolyn Clancy with questions from the public who've been using the longevity products. And these are some of the questions she's worked with and received from people inquiring. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And
good morning.
Thank you.
This lady has a heart stent. She has a muscle tear. She has a uterus growth and some boils.
I'm assuming the uterus growth is a fibroid, because she didn't say cancer.
Right, she didn't say, and that's what I believe as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, did she say how much she weighs or how old she is?
Yeah, she is 39 and 165 pounds.
39, that's like, wow, that woman, she's definitely some diet related stuff there.
Yeah, she must be eating homemade bread with the finest wheat flour and cooking in olive oil.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay.
For years though.
So at 165 pounds, 39 years old, and her problems are she's got some uterine fibroids, and she has, I apologize, what was the other first two things?
Well, she has a heart stent and a muscle tear.
Okay, let's go. That's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, let's go with the heart stent. I'm assuming she's had coronary artery disease, and so they put a stent in there. Some doctors would do a coronary artery bypass. Some they would put little wire grids in there and so forth. And so what she needs to do is get rid of all the bad foods. You know, it's the old, same old. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils of any kind, no gluten, no wheat, butter, rye, oats, no sugar. And then I want her to have 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. She's got a couple of life-threatening things there, so I want her to use the bigger hammer. I want her to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. That's a healthy brain and heart pack. And then I also want her to take our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I want her to take 3 of those 3 times a day, because she's already had a stent installed. So we know she's got blocked arteries, coronary arteries. But when you get blocked coronary arteries, you also have them in your kidneys, and you also have them in your brain and your legs and every place else. So I want her to get 3 bottles of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, so she could take 3 of those with each meal. They're going to support healthy blood pressure and also help to support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. And then because she has this girly thing going on, okay, I want her to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolk, soft boiled soft yolk, soft poached soft yolk, soft scrambled butter, no oils, no fried eggs, no hard boiled eggs. Hard boiled eggs won't count, and fried eggs will kill you. Okay. And so
Doc, what do you think could have gotten her in such bad shape at 35?
Well, she's eating gluten, and she's probably thinks she's doing a good job, because she's, eating the finest homemade bread for breakfast, and pancakes and waffles and bagels from a good deli in New York or something like that. She's eating things like spaghetti every Wednesday night at the spaghetti factory. Are you beginning to get the picture here?
Yeah.
So that's why these young athletes die in their teens, in their early 20s. Okay, because they're eating all that stuff to keep their weight up and their energy up with all those carbs. But all the carbs they pick are wheat, butter, rye, and oats instead of rice.
Right.
Okay. And so, and then I would also throw in, but you need to inquire before you give her this one. Is this growth she has in her uterus? Is it cancer? Okay. Or is it something else? If it's not cancer, she can get the Xerafem. She could take 3 of those twice a day, and it'll give her more estrogen. So right now she's not absorbing what she needs for her ovaries to work properly, and that's why they get these weird things going on. That may not be cancer.
Xerafem. How do you spell that? Xerafem.
Xera, Xera-FEM.
Okay, thanks. And that's for women's hormone levels.
That's correct. Now we have Xeratest for men, Xera-TEST for men. Okay. And so, we don't want to, cheat the guys. The guys have to have their stuff too, right?
Right. So
Okay.
will that help pull it back into shape, this woman Carolyn's working with?
Absolutely. But it's imperative that she gets rid of all the bad food. She can't just keep eating the way she's been eating. If she's not prepared to change and get rid of all the bad stuff, she can't say, well, I've got 3 months worth of stuff in the cabinet here. I'll just eat that and then I won't buy anymore. No. What you want to do is box that up. If you knew that there was poison in a box, would you say, I'll just eat everything in that box until it's gone and then I won't get any more? Okay. No. No matter how much you have left, you box it up and give it to your doctor with love.
Did you ask her about her diet, Carolyn? Would she say anything about that?
Well, yes, we know that's part of the problem, and also being making a commitment to actually take the products. So this is part of it, to be compliant.
Yeah. Well, here's her choice: either do it or die.
Right.
Exactly.
When I'm seeing 3,000 patients a day, I don't have time to sit there and hold their hand and hug them and love them for an hour. I say, look, this is it. You have two options: do it and you live, don't do it and you die. And so is eating Wheaties for breakfast worth dying 30 years early? You got to make that decision. Yeah. I can't make that decision for you. I can give you the information, but you're the one that's got to make the decision to act properly.
She needs to do this immediately, Carolyn.
Yes.
Immediately.
Not tomorrow. Immediately.
Exactly. Right. The next lady is 57 years old, 128 pounds. She has scleroderma. She uses a CPAP. She had a stroke. She's pre-diabetic, cataracts. She does not have her thyroid. That's just a little bit about what's going on with her.
Okay. Well, why do you think she has all these diseases?
Gluten.
Yeah. When people have 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 diseases, these are what we call pre-existing conditions. They set you up. They will set you up. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Hell's Kitchen. This is another one. This goes into all the pre-existing conditions, okay? And doctors will call them metabolic syndrome. They're blaming your metabolism. No, you need to blame them and the lack of giving you the proper advice, okay? So Hell's Kitchen, we have a CD, we have a book, okay? That goes along with immortality. It goes along with epigenetics. It goes along with rare earth-spin cures. It goes along with Let's Play Doctor. It goes along, but it's all in your head. We come up with these things. And so people say, well, what about, the black community? They have a much higher rate of COVID than the white race. Also, they have all these genetic diseases. Well, none of them are genetic. Pastor Creflo Dollar from Atlanta, Georgia, paid for this research to be done. There's a CD and a book about it. All the diseases said to be genetic in the black community are not. If the entire black community would give this to their kids and read it and listen to the CDs and take the 90, there wouldn't be any more early deaths. There wouldn't be any more early COVID people in the black community because it's all nutritional deficiencies because they live on gluten.
Well, just to follow up on that, you said there's no such thing as an inherited disease anyway, right?
That's correct.
So nobody has that.
Okay, well, let's just pick sickle cell anemia, which everybody knows is caused by a genetic problem in black people, right? Bam, 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 bam. No, that's not true. It's caused by a nutritional deficiency early in pregnancy when the bone marrow cells are forming in the bone marrow cavity of the embryo that make hemoglobin. Okay, and so it only makes sickled cells after the baby's born. It was because mama was missing a nutrient in that early stage of pregnancy when those cells were forming. It's kind of like a cleft palate in the palate, right? But this is in the bone marrow. Now, here's the secret. Don't tell anybody, but here's the secret.
Okay.
White people get sickle cell anemia too. But they call it thalassemia in white people because how could they get a black gene? So they gave it a different name in white people. That's how doctors think. Okay, now let me give you the question of all history. What species of animals has the highest rate of sickle cell anemia all over the world?
I don't know. Human?
Deer.
Why is that?
Deer, because they eat from the same soil that's deficient in those nutrients. And in early pregnancy for the deer, the embryos can't make that hemoglobin cell correctly, so it only makes sickle cells.
I see.
And it's not an all or nothing thing. It's some deer will have 3% Sickle cell, some deer have 5%, some deer have 10%, some have 25%, some have 50%. When they get up to 75%, they're the ones that the coyotes can catch and eat because they're too slow, right? But there are no genetically transmitted diseases.
So what about this woman that Carolyn talked to, the 57-year-old woman? What should we do for her? What could you do for her?
Okay, well, she needs to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, barley, rye, and oats. She needs to get on at 128 pounds. I'd have her take one healthy brain and heart pack per month. I get her another bottle of selenium. One of her bottles of selenium come with that. Don't run to Walgreens and get a bottle of selenium because our selenium has other cofactors added to it. So I want her to take 3 of our selenium at breakfast and 3 at dinner time, a half of everything else twice a day. And then because she's a pre-diabetic, I also wanted to get 2 bottles a month of the sweeties, so she take 3 of those twice a day. I also, because she had a stroke, and we don't know if it's a blood clot type of stroke or a bleeding stroke, but I wanted to get 2 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets so she can support healthy blood pressure and healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. Okay. And then because she has her thyroid gone, even the cells that react to the prescription thyroid she's taking, right? Those cells also require something. They're the recipient cells, not only the producing cells in the thyroid, but also the cells that the hormone goes to. So she also needs to be taking 3 of her Ocean's Gold twice a day and stay away from cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables kill the whole thyroid cycle. Okay, we're talking about cabbage.
What vegetables are cruciferous?
Cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and kale. Everything that a hippie eats.
Why stay away from that? Because why?
Because they destroy the thyroid's ability to produce thyroxine, the hormone, and they destroy the recipient cells, the ability to respond to the thyroid hormone.
In everyone they do that? So you don't.
Everyone, if you're alive, you should not eat cruciferous vegetables.
Oh, that's new to me. I did not know that. So
well, see here, if a doctor knows that and he tells you to eat cruciferous vegetables, does he have an eye on your wife? I mean, what's going on here?
So no one should eat broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts.
No, cauliflower is okay.
Okay, I like cabbage. Cabbage is don't recommend cabbage
once a year.
Once a year, and Brussels sprouts. No.
What's that famous holiday the Irish have once a year?
St. Patrick's Day, you mean?
Yeah. So the only time you can eat cabbage is on St. Patrick's Day, once a year. That's it.
Okay.
Anytime they have a sale on cabbage, buy a bunch of it and give it to your doctor.
What does exactly the chemistry of cruciferous vegetables do to block thyroid production?
They interfere with the manufacturing site in the thyroid cells to make the hormone. They interfere with the reception site in the receiving cells elsewhere in the body to react to the hormone. They interrupt that biochemistry cycle.
Okay, I get it. So this does that help you, Carol? What are you going to tell this woman then?
Well, I'm going to tell her that. In addition, I wanted to hear about the scleroderma. She has that as well.
Okay, what do you think causes scleroderma?
Well, what is scleroderma? What does that mean?
Well, scleroderma is a poor doctor's word for, let's see, something like, eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis. It's a poor doctor's term for psoriasis, scleroderma. Sclera is scar tissue. Derma is skin. Eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, scleroderma. Those are all caused by deficiency of a single nutrient. And that same nutrient deficiency will also cause asthma, bronchitis, all that kind of stuff. It'll also lead to blood clots, that deficiency. So when you get those, that's why you hear me when I talk to people, I say, well, do you have any skin issues? Do you have any eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis? I'm going to throw scleroderma in there as well. Okay. Well, yeah, I've had that since I was a kid. Well, do you have any asthma? And they get a little silent. They say, well, yeah, I did. I'm taking medication, so I'm not symptomatic right now. But you did have asthma. Oh yeah, I had it for many years until they gave me the medicine. Okay, well, there you go. And both of those are caused by the same deficiency.
Right. Wow.
Gluten alert, gluten alert, gluten alert. Why is it when a doctor puts you in his nursing home that he feeds everybody oatmeal for breakfast toast for breakfast? Why is it he gives everybody spaghetti for dinner every night? And a big thick crust pizza every Saturday night? Because he's got 3 kids in college. He needs the tuition money.
Wow. This is a racket. That's why your most famous book is called Dead Doctors Don't There it is. Dead Doctors Don't Tell Lie.
Okay, now we do have a CD and a DVD. Now the CD's in 9 languages, Alan. We've translated this into 9 languages. The biggest selling book we have in Mexico is the Spanish version of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. I mean, we sell 10 cases a day in Mexico of Dead Doctors Don't Lie.
Wow. Wow. All right, great. And okay, Carolyn, what else do you have for us today?
Okay, so Dr. Wallach, someone mentioned to me that they thought the first signs of COVID are no taste and smell. Well, I had a gentleman call me up with a head injury from many years ago where he lost his taste and smell. And when I was looking up in the book, It's All in Your Head, I saw several of the cranial nerves that are overlapping and comprehensive regarding that matter. So,
that's right.
So several vets have called as well about that. And I'd like to hear what you have to say for him.
Okay, what you need to do, how old is this guy?
Well, this gentleman is 76 and he weighs 180.
Does he play trombones?
No.
Okay, now, does he have any other issues? High blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, back problems, ringing in the ears?
That's really his main concern. And of course,
I don't care. I don't care what his main concern is. I want to know all this other stuff so I can make a diagnosis.
He does have ringing in the ears.
Okay, that's called tinnitus. He's got osteoporosis of the skull. If you have osteoporosis of the skull, you got osteoporosis everywhere else. So every one of his complaints is due to osteoporosis. Over 100 different diseases you get from osteoporosis. There's 25 different diseases you get from osteoporosis of the skull. Okay, your doctor will never tell you can get osteoporosis of the skull. Why do you think a 13-year-old kid needs to go to an orthodontist and have braces put on their teeth?
Osteoporosis of the skull.
You get an A+, dear. Okay,
Yay.
because the teeth start wandering around because he's already got osteoporosis.
Why would a
Everybody thinks
have osteoporosis?
Because he's eating gluten and not supplementing.
Right.
And see, medical doctors want you to think it's only 80-year-old postmenopausal women who've had 12 kids that have osteoporosis. Those doctors should be put in jail and fed gluten all 3 meals.
So this guy, how do you stop osteoporosis of the skull and everywhere else?
Okay, you have to stop eating the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, brown, rye, oats, no sugar. And then you have to take the, if you have digestive problems like ulcerative colitis and irritable bowel syndrome and celiac disease and Crohn's disease and all that kind of stuff, that's all caused by gluten. And the doctors want to do, a gastric bypass and so forth. And they want to take out portions of your intestine and do an appendicitis. Well, if you have an appendicitis, which is a gluten issue, so why do these kids have a gluten issue? They're not 70 years old and postmenopausal, even if they're a boy and they get, appendicitis. Well, that's because they've been eating gluten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner all through the pregnancy that they were developed in. From the moment they're born, they're getting all this wheat, brown, rye, oats, especially if they're breastfeeding their mother and she wants to eat healthy and she's eating wheat, brown, rye, oats, and it's all coming through the milk. Okay. And so it's one of those things where babies can be born with osteoporosis all over the body and all over the skull, because if the mother doesn't get the nutrition in her diet and she's eating gluten and not supplementing properly, okay, well, after I was pregnant 1 month, I started taking prenatal vitamins. Well, prenatal means you should be taking it for 6 months or a year before you get pregnant, not a month after you get pregnant. Okay, when that baby's born, the baby can be born with osteoporosis of the skull or the vertebrae or the hips or the knees or every place else. And that's a lot of reasons why the babies cry when the mom picks them up, because they're in pain from arthritis and osteoporosis already, and they're newborn. Okay, because the mother didn't have the nutrition, or if she did have the nutrition, she's eating wheat, brown, rye, oats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks.
Right. No, this is serious. So, does that help this guy for you, Carolyn?
Yes, and I also wanted to add for him the MSM Ultra and the D3 to improve the absorption of the calcium.
Okay, now Fauci, of course, says D3, vitamin C, and zinc. Now, vitamin D3, why is vitamin D3 important for somebody with COVID?
Why?
Because if your bone marrow is dead, you want to rebuild your bones, rebuild that bone marrow cavity so your bone marrow can make white blood cells, stem cells, you can make antibodies, red blood cells, and platelets. You can't get calcium into your bones and rebuild your bones without vitamin D3.
And can you get that from the sun, vitamin D3?
You tell me how many people get naked and lay out in the sun 4 hours a day, every day, 365 days a year.
I do.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm looking at, do you put sunblocker on your skin?
No, I not 4 hours a day, but I try to get out in the sun naked as much as possible.
Yeah. Do you wear long sleeve shirts when you're naked? Do you sit in the shade most of the time?
Well, I don't stay out for 4 hours in the sun, but no.
Do you get sunburn on your boy parts?
Well,
see, but I know you're in trouble, Alan. I know you're in trouble. You know why I know you're in trouble?
Why?
Because you have white hair. White hair.
I get that back to.
White hair is a raging deficiency of a single mineral. That same mineral. Listen. That same mineral can cause anemia because it's needed to make hemoglobin. That same mineral deficiency can cause wrinkles in your skin. That same mineral deficiency.
Well, tell me the mineral.
No. And I learned.
On,
no. Read the book. Now, here's why I don't tell people the mineral. Because then they run to Walgreens and they buy that one mineral and they take it and then they die. Well, my husband did what you said. He took that mineral for 3 months and then he died. Okay, did he take the 90? No, he just took that one mineral. No. If you do what I tell you, take the 90, and if you only weigh 110, 120 pounds, get an extra bottle of our selenium. That's not the mineral, okay? But the cofactors, your hair color will come back. If you take 2 bottles of our selenium a month, and so you can take 3 of our selenium capsules twice a day, your hair color will come back. The odds of you dying of a ruptured aneurysm is reduced to 0. The odds of you getting varicose veins are also caused by that deficiency. So that's why I always ask people, well, he's calling about lung disease. Why are you asking about varicose veins? Because it tells me what deficiency he or she has.
What does zinc, why is zinc so important in fighting the virus?
Okay, zinc is required by the white blood cells, T cells, okay, T lymphocytes require zinc as a cofactor to maximally kill viruses, bacteria, and fungus. Zinc is a cofactor necessary for that system to work. So Fauci is doing exactly the wrong thing by saying, take this one cofactor here, take vitamin D3, that cofactor there, but he's missing 88 other nutrients required by your bone marrow to make white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, and also stem cells to make antibodies. And he's not giving everybody everything they need for their cells to maintain themselves. Your body has the capacity to make every cell, your liver cells, heart cells, brain cells, eye cells, skin cells, bone cells, cartilage cells, ligament cells, kidney cells. Your body can do that, but it needs these raw materials to do it. That's why people who get old, they get 6, 8, 10, 12 different pre-existing conditions because they're eating gluten and not supplementing. Well, my doctor says I can get everything I need just by eating well. Well, I also sell coffins. I have a company that sells coffins. So if you don't want to buy the supplements, I'll give you a big discount on a coffin.
Well, we need Fauci to tell people to get the Healthy Start Pack, right?
That's correct. And to get off of gluten.
Right.
So would you send him an email?
Well, if I had his email address, I could, but yeah, we could.
I'll bet you could somebody can find it.
What would you say to him though? Exactly. Seriously, what would you say?
Well, I'm serious. Say you need to really talk with Dr. Joel Wallach. Okay. His thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute's National Treasure. And he knows how to add to your program something that will make it 100% better. You're helping 10% with your program. It's been going on for 13 months and getting worse. So you can't point to your program and say it's fixed everything. Okay? Now this guy Wallach, his thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as National Treasure. Dr. Fauci, is your thesis in the Smithsonian Institute as a National Treasure? Contact Wallach, and here's his numbers. Give him my number. And if nothing happens, at least you've done your best. But if something does happen, we'll do a three-way with Fauci, you, and me, okay?
Okay. One more question, Carolyn, for our people, because we should wrap it up in about 10 minutes, right, Doc?
Yep.
Okay, I have two quick questions. What about dogs with hot spots and seizures?
Okay, well, those are all nutritional deficiencies. Need to look at the dog food, especially if it's dry dog food. Does it have gluten-free oats in it? There are no such things as gluten-free oats. Okay, well, gluten-free oats, unquote, still has a lot of gluten in them. Okay, there is no such thing as gluten-free oats. Gluten-free oats has a substance in it called gliadin, which is just a different name for gluten. Is vitamin C still ascorbic acid?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So then per 20 pounds of body weight, you want to give 1 scoop of our Arthrodex multivitamin mineral supplement. It's a powder. Okay. And also you want to give them per 20 pounds of body weight, you want to give them 1 EFA and 1 EFA plus per 20 pounds of body weight. But make sure there's no gluten in that dog's diet. Okay. And all the skin problems go away. The bowel problems go away. Did it have any other issues or just skin and bowel?
Seizures.
Oh, seizures. Okay. Yeah, I would give that dog also, I'd give the dog Synaptive. Okay. I'd go ahead and give it 2 of those capsules a day. For if it weighs 25 to 50 pounds, I give it 2 capsules a day of Synaptive. That's the raw materials that our brain cells require to make the biochemistry necessary for this brain cells to talk to each other. You know, that space between them, the synapse. Okay. So we called it Synaptive. And I would go there. Let's start there. Wouldn't hurt to throw a softball. Wouldn't hurt to throw a soft-boiled egg whipped up in the dog food too, whether it's dry dog food or the canned dog food.
Right.
All right. The next one is a gentleman.
Because, you know, I just want to say dogs are very seriously ill in this society because of their dog food. You know?
Well, dog food, people who live under the bridge and eat dog food tend to live longer than billionaires who eat the stuff that doctors tell them to eat. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because we put all the nutrients in dog food, and the billionaires don't get all the nutrients by eating caviar.
Right. And of course, that food for animals is what saved you, but we'll go into that another time. Go ahead, Carolyn, last question.
Okay, this vet called me, one of our vets during Veterans Day. He has Agent Orange and he has neuropathy, but it's not from diabetes. He does not have diabetes or pre-diabetes. I asked him that question. And he's around 200 pounds and he's 76.
Okay, the probability he has a low back problem. Okay, and he has a pain in his legs and and that kind of stuff, right? That's what you're telling me? Okay, yeah. It's called sciatica, peripheral neuropathy. And you need to ask people like that, how much have you shrunk since you were 20 years old? You're 76 now. When you were 20, were you 6'2", and now you're 5'11"? You shrunk 3 inches. Your discs are getting thinner. Your vertebrae are getting closer and closer together, smashing the roots of the sciatic nerves, which cause sciatica. So he needs 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose of everything twice a day, because he's not telling us everything he's got, because he thinks he's in good shape because he's controlling his diabetes with drugs, right?
Well,
he said he's not even diabetic. He said he's not even pre-diabetic, but he has the Agent Orange and he's attributing almost everying to that.
Well,
that's because
it's a toxin, right? Isn't that in the bot? No, it's not a toxin.
Well, it was Agent Orange. Is a defoliant. It was used so that people couldn't sneak through the jungle and kill us. So if you drop all the leaves off the trees, then you can see them sneaking through the forest because there's no leaves on the trees.
It's some kind of toxic chemical that defoliates.
Well, did you know that cars are causing the carbon dioxide to go up in the air?
Right.
That's crapola science, Alan.
So what can he do for the Agent Orange that's in his body?
Well, listen to me. Okay. I guarantee you he's going to his doctor's office once a month and getting chelation or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the doctor's milking him like a cow. What test did this doctor give this guy to show that he had Agent Orange? What test did he? I want to know the test. Okay. That's crapola science. He has sciatica, and if he were to get on 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 1 bottle of MSM, so he could take 3 of those twice a day. He needs the vitamin D3, 3 of those 3 times a day. He needs the collagen, the glucogel, 3 times a day. It's 2 bottles a month of that. Stay away from all the bad stuff. and all his problems will go away.
I love it.
All right. Well,
That can-
Doc,
One other thing, he's got to fire the doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. But so what is it? So Agent Orange, how would you get rid of that?
Get rid of the doctor. You didn't hear me. That's crapola science. His problems are not caused by Agent Orange. The doctors, just like the doctor says, oh, you have an autoimmune disease. Well, what test did you do? Did you do a bone marrow biopsy, or what did you do? Well, he's got rosacea on his face. He's got fibromyalgia. So he really has lupus. And everybody knows that's a autoimmune disease. No, that's a gluten problem. You get off of gluten, you get on the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack and extra EFAs, and it all goes away.
Well, I know you have 65
I've been doing this for over 60 years, Alan. I see 2 million patients a day in 50 countries.
I know. You're incredible, Doc. You are a national treasure there, and people should listen to this way of life, this way of living.
I had to tell you, you know how much money I make from the sale of my supplements?
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. None. Zero. I purposely do not take any. That's why you never hear the doctors. They check on me. What's his paycheck like? Well, we have a contract that we don't pay him anything. We don't even give him a Christmas turkey. I get nothing from the company. When I did those 1,700 autopsies in China, which cost $1 million to do that study, guess who paid for that? My mother paid for that study.
Your mother?
My mother. She sold her farm. She sold her farm to pay for that study.
But you must be connected to longevity somehow, right? As a consultant, right?
Tools. This is how I make my living, by the sale of books, CDs, and DVDs. I have a bunch of new ones coming out. So the next time we're on, I'll have a whole list of new ones, and I'll be able to show them to you. I'll throw one more thing in here because of the tools. I got 1 minute. You ever hear of Hippocrates?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, now he's considered the father of medicine, right?
Right.
And why is he considered the father of medicine? Well, that's because in the year 350 BC, he decided, we have to have a medical school and teach everybody everything I know, meaning him, about health, because all these other witches and wise men and all these people running around, magi and everything, saying that they have a cure with their herb and everything. They're following Moses and Jesus around, and they get big crowds for Moses and Jesus, and all these witch doctors are selling their herbs to this. So we got to stop that, because he could recognize 59 diseases from 50 feet away, give you his treatment, and he'd cure them. Okay, and he also came up with the Hippocratic Oath, which is number 60. Okay, and he put those 60 things into one book and started a medical school. And that's why he's considered the father of medicine. Now, nothing has changed since 350 BC. The medical doctors still think the same way. They still treat people the same way. Now, they have different antibiotics and different machines to make diagnoses and that kind of stuff, and some vaccinations. But they were given vaccinations back in the days of smallpox and cowpox and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Edward Jenner. Okay. And so it's not like there's anything new in medicine. So I came up, he put all those 60 different things into what he called the Hippocratic Corpus. And that's what he used to go around and raise money to start the medical school, the Hippocratic Corpus. It was a book. And so I came up with the Hippocratic Corpus with my name on it, the Wallach Corpus, to change everybody's thinking to be more correct and up to date with all these things we're talking about in there. So I give examples of why you should listen to me on this one and this one and this one. And so it's called the Wallach Corpus. Mm-hmm. Now, the CD will be available tomorrow and Friday.
Right.
Now, the book will not be ready until February. I mean, the title is The Greatest Stories Ever Told. Now, does that sound like something? The Greatest Stories Ever Told?
It sounds great.
Yes.
Well, the greatest story ever told was what book? The greatest story ever told was what book?
I guess they call that the Bible, right?
The Bible, yeah. So that was one story. Well, I have millions of stories. So ours is The Greatest Stories Ever Told. The subtitle is 100 Miracle Healings. I mean, we're talking about people who are in comas for 8 years, and in 3 days of me giving them my stuff through their G-tube, they get up and go back to work because they thought they were only asleep one night.
Let's definitely talk about that next time, okay?
Okay.
2 weeks from today, Doc Wallach, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's always great. Now, anything that Doc has talked about, you can find at this Vital Health News. You see that on the screen, Carolyn,
Yeah,
there?
Yes.
it's on there.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks again. Come back in 2 weeks, and remember, call 888-275-7755 for anything Doc recommend. And Carolyn, always thanks for your contribution. And that's it. This is Alan